Okay, this isn't my culture, and that's without saying, and I'm stating the obvious. I guess you learn something new every day. Because up until this morning, which I'm recording this on the 16th of September, you all will see it tomorrow. I'd never heard of the name John Two Guns White Calf. He was a chief of one of the Blackfeet nations out in Montana. There's more to his story, but to make a long story short, before the Washington Commanders changed their name from the Redskins, the logo you saw was of a rendering of a photo from John Two Guns White Calf. It's just surfaced in the news, and I'll go let you all look it up, that his descendants are calling for the Washington Commanders to rechange the name back to the Washington Redskins in honor of John Two Guns White Calf, to whom the logo, when it was the Redskins, derived. This isn't my culture, so I'm going to approach this as respectful as I can. Without a doubt, the term redskin indeed, or being called a red, did indeed come from Western notions of exploration and finding new lands. I say in quotation marks because the lands were always here and occupied by people. That racial stratification gave people the excuse to do the things that they did to different and various peoples and lands. Native Americans are no exception to that. So I can understand why there are groups of Native Americans with whom the name Redskins never set well, or perhaps they didn't like the use of the name while not financially benefiting from it. While you use the folklore of their community and the tales that they've passed down for centuries, you're doing so while using those images without them getting money. I can remember years ago on international runways when moccasins, the shoes, had made a great comeback, and Native Americans were upset that their culture was being used. Maybe the bands of Canada as well was being used without their consent. There's always going to be some backlash to these things, right? I didn't think the name should change because I thought it was right to name them the Redskins at the time. Now I really don't have an opinion of it. Um, Either way, because you just grow up and realize there's a lot more gray area to things, and some things are black, some things are white, and there's a lot of gray area. Okay. My biggest question, given this recent revelation, okay, because I read this article, do we get offended on people's behalf? Is it okay to get so far offended on another group's behalf that you take something away, even when that something did at some point have a negative connotation? This is going to be a controversial one, y'all. Because I didn't realize until I read that article that some poll taken showed that 90% of Native Americans at the time, before that name got changed, I may have read into it the wrong way, who knows, did not support the Redskins name being changed to the Washington Commanders. It makes you wonder who really rallied for that name change. Again, racial stratification means that while some Native American tribes are thriving, a good chunk of them are not, in a land that was their land before the rest of us got here. In whatever way we were brought here by force, or came by choice, or came to conquer on purpose. So it's hard not to have empathy for people from which their land has been used by strangers of different backgrounds. But if this didn't offend most of them, now I'm not making this argument before I finish if this offended most of them, okay? If they're not offended, why are we? And the reason I'm saying is I'm not saying I would never go to a Native person of any kind, whether they're from Canada or from Latin America, even on this land, and call them a red to their face. Without a doubt, that's just dysfunctional. It's just not right. And the racial stratification of what happened in the past still reverberates to the modern day, so you got to be careful what you say. But the fact that this man's descendants are fighting for the right to bring that name back to that team, the fact that before it was taken away, 90% of tribes that were polled said they had no problem with it. Could an argument also be made that by removing that specific logo, for people who like it, that you're trying to still further downplay Native American contributions in a land that was their land before we all got here? Now that seems like a silly question, but the fact that this man's descendants would like to bring that logo back speaks volumes. I didn't know the story behind it, and I didn't know who John Two Guns White Calf was, so it's nice to learn something new every day. That his ancestors have a sense of pride that people wore and displayed that logo, and now that's been taken away from them. Were they even consulted and asked about it? Because let's not pretend that asking them is not important, because it kind of is, okay? I was into it with someone years ago on YouTube who thought I was taken up for a white racist, and this person themselves was a white liberal. And I'm sitting here thinking, you of all people have a nerve to tell me what it's like to be black and how I should react to things based on being black, because there's nuance in every race. When I bring that up, I'm not making it about me. I'm just saying this is no different in the sense of racial stratification. That how we get offended about things may cause more harm than good. I'm going to say that the Washington Redskins, when they were the Redskins, that logo didn't offend me. But I can see how, because that's not my culture, how it offended Native Americans. But 90% saying they're not offended is a significant number. Well, we know what that signal means. If you've been listening to me for a while, you hear sugar. All right. Tell me what y'all think. I don't have any opinion, really. If it doesn't come back, that was a time in history that's gone. If it does come back, it could mark a significance for some Native Americans who want to see it again. All right. Tell me what y'all think.